You may be aware that my law firm is now virtual. What does that mean? Where do people sit? How do we function? Is that even legal? I want to talk about why we went to the virtual law firm model and how that actually benefits my clients and my whole team. So the story begins in early 2020, which, as all of you know, was right before COVID. All right, so in February of 2020, I had 3.5 more years on the lease on my office building. It was about 1,000 square feet, this beautiful standalone office right off of California Avenue. It was on Cambridge Avenue, and I loved it. And I thought, I'm gonna be here for a long time. I might as well get some beautiful flooring in here because the flooring was a little bit old and dated. So I talked with my landlord and we arranged to have laminate flooring installed, which was gorgeous, by the way. So that was installed in February 2020, and then COVID hit in March. So hardly any of my clients got to see my beautiful flooring, but that was okay. Business as usual. I had a standalone office. I continued to work there, as did some of my staff, in a very safe environment. I do remember that we looked and we said, uh-oh, how are we going to talk with our clients now? I've heard of this thing called Zoom. Okay, let's look into that. So we started doing Zoom with our clients who had to learn how to do Zoom mostly to talk with their grandkids or their kids or their friends. So that really helped our clients and us to overcome that technological hurdle. So we're still working out of our office. And then in the middle of June, I had this horrible deposition. I was a percipient witness in a case where they were interviewing me in a deposition. And it was very stressful. It was supposed to be 2 hours. I think it went 6 hours. It was awful. And the next morning, I broke out into hives, all right? I didn't know what it was. I had never gotten hives before. I thought it was because I was walking my dog at the local park and there were a lot of mosquitoes there. So I had no idea. But these hives kept coming and coming, and it was really uncomfortable. And so finally, my husband was like, you need to go to the doctor for that. And sure enough, chronic hives, and they wouldn't go away. And I went to all the doctors and the allergists and the dermatologists, and nobody had any idea. And it started getting worse. And it would like puff up my lips and my eyes, and sometimes I couldn't even meet with clients because, I was disfigured from the hives. And finally, my aunt, she's wonderful and she's a little bit alternative. And so she said, hey, Ellen, I want you to talk with my muscle tester. Are you okay with that? I said, sure. I'll try anything at this point, right? I'm desperate because most of the doctors were like, well, your hives will go away in a year or two. I'm like, a year or two? I can't even survive tomorrow. What are you talking about, right? So I said, okay, I'll talk to this woman, and her name's Susie, and we talked over the phone. And I guess I don't even know what she was doing on the other side, but I think if you're familiar with muscle testers, they kind of push down their own arm or something, and they see what weaknesses you might have in your body. And as we're talking, she says, it's caused by something in your office. And now, mind you, I'm sitting in my office at that point, and I'm looking around like, what could it be? And she says, have you changed anything in your office recently? Now we're talking, by then it's September of 2020. So I'm like, no, I haven't changed anything. I mean, I've been here for all this time. And then I remembered, well, I did install that laminate flooring back in February, 6 months ago. And she goes, that's it. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, it must be the benzene off-gassing from that laminate flooring that was installed. And I thought, oh, this is crazy. Whatever, But I thought, well, let's look into it. So I went to my favorite doctor at Root Cause Medical Clinic in Cupertino, and they did a full scan of many toxins. And guess what? I was off the charts on my benzene levels. It was just amazing. So I had to move out of that office and move into this room right here, which is actually my third bedroom. And we turned it into my home office. Now, mind you, I had never wanted to work from home before. I always thought, oh, that would be so distracting. Only people who aren't serious attorneys do that. No way. But at that point, I really had no choice. I was trying to get out of this lease. I needed to work somewhere. It's not like, oh, you're a small business owner, let's just not work for a few months. That wasn't an option. So I did. I moved in here, and it turned out I loved it. I loved working from home because everything is very convenient. I don't have a commute to and from the office. If I need to take a 10-minute nap, I can do that, but it was also wonderful because my kids would come home. I'd be able to spend a few minutes with them and give them a hug. and then come back to working. I think a lot of us have realized that working from home can actually be beneficial. But I think the biggest benefit of working from home is that I've been able to develop an incredible team. Once, COVID was continuing on, and I was having a really hard time hiring a paralegal who would stay with me because it's really expensive in the Bay Area. You have to pay an extra 40% pay bump to hire somebody in the legal community here in the Bay Area, and I just can't afford that. So the person who I was working with to do the search suggested that I look for a virtual paralegal. And I did, and I found 2 amazing virtual paralegals, and I hired both of them. And my intake coordinator was already virtual. My marketing assistant, she's virtual. I had an attorney who was licensed in California but living in a different state. She's virtual. So we were able to communicate over Slack and Zoom. We have client CRM platforms online where we can safely share our client data. We use Dropbox. We use many different things that allow us to all work together, even if we're not in the same building. And it's been very successful. And financially, it's worked out for us. So I can have a larger team. I've actually made a decision, instead of putting money into the brick and mortar, I actually put money into my team so we can provide a really excellent service for our clients. So I feel like it's been win-win-win for everybody. Now, I do have a virtual office where I can go if I need to meet with clients, because I do have some clients where it makes more sense to meet with them in person. But most of the meetings that I have are over Zoom, and I found my clients really appreciate this because then they don't have to fight the Bay Area traffic or find some place to park or find the office. They just log on just like I do, and we're right there, and we can talk about very personal things that really make a difference in their lives. So I'd like to give you a little tour of my office. You see the background behind me when you're talking with me, but what do I see? I actually have a very lovely view.
Oh, hey, come on along into my mom's office. Come. So this is my mom's office, and as you see, she has two screens for her work, and she has this chair. She has this spinning chair, and she has like these 2 separated keys and the mouse, and she has a printer where she could print things. And she has a cupboard where she has papers and some files. And you see there's a Cookman wall sign right here. And there's a picture of me with my brother. And there's a picture of mommy with my dad. And there's this plant that's been here for years.
That's great. Okay, you want to wrap it up?
No. And
okay, I'm gonna stop.
And we have a map of where I'm pretty sure my mom's grandfather traveled around the world.
One thing that I'm most proud of is my grandfather's map. Now you might say, a map, what's the big deal with that? Well, first of all, I'll say my older son Caleb, who's on the spectrum, he loves maps. But this map I particularly love because it has little pins of all the places where my grandfather has traveled, okay? So he retired early, and he was able to travel to many different countries. He loved hiking, and so he'd go to all these countries and he'd take pictures and he'd show us slide presentations, with those little individual slides in the round thing, and click, 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 we'd see the pictures. And I think all the pictures looked like him standing on rocks, but he was really proud of it, and it was a way that we really shared the joy with him. It was also really cool that I have a connection with my grandpa, because he always had a vision for me going into law and helping those who are less fortunate. He also has the connection to the one other entrepreneur in my family, who is Tilly Lewis. You may have heard of her. She actually ran a cannery in Stockton, California. A long time ago, she moved out here to California with her 3 nephews. My grandfather was one of them, and she started a cannery here that many people were employed by. She was remarkable, a Jewish female business owner who was very successful, and I'm really proud of her. And I kind of feel like a little bit of Tilly's spirit lives on through my grandfather and his map, and also through me and my practice.